Joe Feldman, who wrote a book called Grading for Equity and is a sort of the guru of equitable grading practices, suggests three pillars to equitable grading. The first pillar is grades need to be mathematically accurate and reflect a student's learning. The reason why frequently grades are not mathematically accurate is the 0 to 100 scale. And the 0 to 100 scale is weighted towards failure. For instance, A's are 90 to 100, so that's an 11-point range. B's, C's, D's are 10-point ranges, whereas F's are a 60-point range. You can use a 0 to 4 GPA-like scale because the difference between an A and a B and a B and a C and a C and a D and a D and an F are all 1 point. So that makes it interval, that makes it mathematically accurate. Another option is something known as minimum grading, where if someone scores below a 50% or even doesn't do an assignment, you bring that grade up to a 50% so that F also has a 10-point range. So think about you have 5 assignments in your class, all worth 20%. And a student does 4 of them, and on 4 of them they get an 85%. Well, then the other one they don't do. Be it they don't do it, or they have anxiety during an exam and just turn in a blank exam, which I've had happen to me at times. So if you were to take those 4 85s and a 0, that averages to a 68%. That's a D, and for many departments you need a C to pass. But that student got B's on 4 assignments. They probably do have a good knowledge of some of the material. But if you use a 0 to 4 GPA scale, where it's 4 B's would be 4 3s, and the F would be a 0, that comes out to an average of 2.4, so a C. Likewise, if you use the minimum grading, where the F is a 50 rather than a 0, that averages out to a 78, also a C, more reflective of a student's knowledge. One of my courses, based on data that was made available by the CSU, had one of the largest, what is known as a GPA equity gap, that if you looked at the GPA of students who are classified as underrepresented minority and the students who are classified as non-underrepresented minority, in my department at least, for that one course, the difference between the GPAs of non-underrepresented minority students was substantially higher than those who were underrepresented minority students. After implementing these practices, that GPA gap almost went away, so that not only were students doing better, the differences in their achievement was more in parity with one another.